Gang, I love guest. The whole guest concept when it comes to wireless, right? Don't give them full public accounts, dedicated accounts, Active Directory accounts. I don't want to have to set up a permanent account within my AAA environment. I want to set up an account that can have time restrictions applied to it, that has limited access to the network. Maybe it's just internet access, and I'd like to, really just have guest control. And of course, our Cisco devices make that very easy. But there's also specifically something we can do in association with mobility that creates a very cool way of managing the CAPWAP tunnel for guests with web authentication. So let's take a look. First, let's talk about the standard way that we would provide access. In this diagram, I want you to see that we've got a switch peer group with 4 controllers, probably 38, 50, something like that. They are all mobility agents. I don't know why that one's not labeled. But this client that connects right here, when they connect, right, they're going to have access through this access point to the controller, right, this converged controller. And remember, that location really then is going to describe the, actually put it there, how does it access the wired network? Let's say it's going through that. That's described as what? The point of presence, where it initially attaches, and the point of attachment, where it is currently hooked in. Okay, that's a normal device. And of course, if it changes location, if it roams, what's going to change? Not the point of presence, only the current point of attachment. So the point of attachment would roam to the second device, and but the mobility controller would then tell me to use my built-in CAPWAP mesh tunnel, and as the device is working its way out, it will always leave through that same connection point into the same switch. Everything stays consistent. Nobody gets confused. Life is good. So we said that to say this. With guests, we can do something very cool, very different, but it's associated with these same terms. So when a guest account accesses, let's say this device here is a guest. So the guest account attaches to the access point, is authenticated as a guest through web authentication. The mobility controller can then be given the instructions regarding the guest network that there is a separate, there has to be one of these, a separate wireless LAN controller. Let's say it's this 5760 running out here. And this device is specifically going to be the point of presence for the guest account. And where is it located? Well, it's going to be associated with being out here in the DMZ. So the guest account is actually going to physically get on the network. It's going to escape its CAPWAP tunnel right here, right? Not way back here, way over here, right? Out in the DMZ. And what happens when I roam from one location to another, and now I'm coming in here and this guest? Well, same thing that happened before, except that now the mobility controller tells this mobility agent, great, here's your current point of attachment, instead of this being the default point of attachment, right? So that's gone. This one now is the new location. But what is my point of presence that describes where I get into the network? That's still out here in the DMZ. And so the mobility controller, once again, redirects me to go out that door and keeps everything very consistent, very safe, very stable for those guest accounts. So that is called a guest anchor, a dedicated wireless LAN controller associated with the DMZ to allow guest accounts to have typically internet access without ever having any presence inside the corporate network.